Am I loud enough?
I think you're good.
Okay.
I think you're probably good to start whenever you feel good.
All right. All right. Welcome everybody. Tonight uh, is be prepared, not scared. Um, there's a lot going on in the world today. I'm not going to rehash it all to you. Um, I know all of us have been having um, anxiety and fears, and just at the state of our country, um, especially if you are in a disadvantaged group. A lot of people check a lot of those boxes, um, and you may feel as though that you have the potential to be targeted. Um, I think we all, in some ways, have the potential to be targeted. Um, and the way we can fight against that is is knowledge, is training, is being together. Um, that being said, I have some more specific tips uh, for you guys tonight. So I'm going to go ahead and get this presentation started. And then we can, if you guys can post your questions or comments in the chat, uh, I will answer any questions you guys have at the end of the presentation. Can you see my screen?
I do not. I'm wondering if Belinda might need to make you a host to be able to share your screen.
All right.
Yeah, let me look at the sharing options. You should be able to, as a panelist, share. Do you have a share screen at the bottom?
I do, or yeah, went ahead and
Yeah, you'll need to like select one of the options and then click share again, I think, on the screen that pops up.
all right. Uh, uh, no, not yet.
Talk me through what you're seeing.
I've got Megan here.
Oh, okay.
Helping me.
Tech support is on the job.
Tech support has come to save the day.
Okay.
Can you guys see my screen now?
No, we're still not seeing anything. Oh, here we go.
There we go.
All right. Now we're seeing Google Chrome.
All right. Good. Thank you guys for bearing with me. All right. Welcome to the Empower Hour. Be prepared, not scared. Learn how to recognize and avoid dangerous situations, know what to do when avoidance is not an option, and gain practical safety strategies. I'm speaking with you tonight. I have a background in military and law enforcement, armed security, and martial arts and combatives. So a lot of these things I've learned in those modalities, and I do have real world experience as well. So let's go ahead and get started. All right. So here's the good news. We can predict human behavior with some success. And I can prove that to you by just thinking about, if you told a child something, how would a child react to a warning? How would a friend react to a social media post? How would a politician react to a question? And you can figure those things out. You can predict what they're going to say. One of the best passages I've found that illustrates this point is from The Gift of Fear by Gavin de Becker, which is one of the books that I read to prepare for this. People do things we say is high stake out of the blue, all of a sudden, out of nowhere. These phrases support the popular myth that predicting human behavior is impossible. Yet to successfully navigate through the morning traffic, we make amazing, accurate, high-stake predictions about the behavior of literally thousands of people. We unconsciously read tiny, untaught signals, the slight tilt of a stranger's head, or the momentary sustained glance of a person 100 feet away tells us if it's safe to pass in front of this 2-ton monster. Since we can predict human behavior, we can also predict violence. So when I was preparing for this, there are a lot of external factors. There are a lot of factors out in the world that we can't worry about. We need to worry about the things that are closest to us, that are in our immediate area. You are more likely to end up in a violent confrontation with someone with somebody's intimate violence is something that's way more likely than being jumped by a stranger or being assaulted by a stranger. But all of these things will apply to either of those scenarios. So one of the problems we run into when we try to predict violent behavior is denial. We fantasize that people aren't like us, that violence is beyond our understanding. Well, all violence has purpose and meaning to the perpetrator, and those carry detectable patterns and intentions. Every action is predicated by impulse by thought, and thought by perception. So we all have violent thoughts and impulses, and some of those have even led to actions. Although the purpose and meaning may differ, all humans are violent. We are violent. You are violent. I am violent, which means we already have the tools to predict violent behavior. And how do we do that? By following your intuition. The ability to recognize or understand something instantly without the use of conscious reasoning, often manifesting as a gut feeling or instinctive reaction. It complements logical thinking and can be informed by expert knowledge and learned patterns, guiding decisions and actions in various situations. So what are examples of your intuition? Well, when you're walking down the street and you feel like you're being followed, when the hair stands up on the back of your neck, when you walk into a room of familiar people and pick up on a weird tension, Or a mother wakes up in the middle of the night with a strong feeling something is wrong. She checks on her baby and finds them running a high fever. Your intuition even works while you're sleeping. Your subconscious is in charge of your intuition. It's constantly picking up cues in the environment. Your senses are constantly bringing information in. Although you're not consciously processing it, your subconscious will take all of this information, collect it, and give it and relay those messages to you in subtle ways. So some of those ways are what we call a gut feeling. I would imagine that we all know what this feels like. An inner voice. Sometimes it's literally a voice inside your head telling you, don't go in there, or something along those lines. Dreams. I know we all, interpreting dreams is fun sometimes. And sometimes it feels mystical, but really that is your intuition communicating with you, warning you. Not necessarily warning, but emotional responses. Anxiety can be part of your intuition. Synchronicity. Synchronicity was coined by Carl Jung, and is basically spooky coincidence. Like, oh, I was just thinking about this person and then they called me. That would be an example of synchronicity. Body sensation, like I said earlier, something gives you the chills. The hair stands up on the back of your neck. Sudden mental clarity, like Eureka, I've got it, or all of a sudden the answer just comes to you. And visions or mental images. That's pretty self-explanatory. All right, moving on. So your intuition is only as good as the information that you put into it. So if you put incorrect information that's not modeled on how the world is, then your intuition can lead you astray. But most importantly, you've got to learn to communicate with yourself and trust your instincts. So a traveler, so an example of your intuition being fed inaccurate information. A traveler avoids a certain neighborhood because they intuitively feel that it's unsafe based on outdated or biased information. In reality, the area has improved significantly, is now one of the safest parts of the city. Their inaccurate knowledge led to misguided information. And so, fear is often misplaced. So anxiety, worry, dread, and angst, those are not fear. That might be your intuition letting you know to pay attention to something. But real fear is activated by your autonomic nervous system, your fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. Are you going to fight them? Are you going to fight or run from the confrontation? Are you going to freeze? Or fawn is, are you going to cozy up and kind of like Stockholm syndrome? Well, not bad example. Kind of cozy up and try to get the person to like you. That's what fawn is. You are not necessarily, your conscious mind is not necessarily in control of of those things. Fear will cause you to act unconsciously. You just be along for the ride. So fear will be, you will know when that fear has I'm sure you can think back to when real fear has set in. Again, hypervigilance is not safety. That's a reflection of anxiety a lot of the times. Relaxing and trusting your instincts. Your intuition works better when you can relax and let your intuition guide you. And listening to your intuition is the opposite of living in fear. So violence does not come out of nowhere. There are always signs. But even though we are, there is reason to be anxious. And to help with that, we can prepare ourselves. We can take that anxiety, harness it, and put it towards our good. So this is a list of items that you can take anywhere. And, flashlights let you see in the dark. They're great for that. But can you see me in the top right-hand corner there? Yeah. Okay. Flashlights are great. They let you see in the dark, but they have, well, all of these things have secondary purposes. And, you know, shining a flashlight in somebody's eyes or using a strobe effect will disorient somebody. You're walking down the street, you think somebody's following you, it's dark, you turn around, you shine a flashlight on them, you'll find out real quick whether or not they're following you. Also, it doesn't matter, how big it is, using a flashlight as an impact tool, striking the head and neck area. As an improvised weapon. A pen. This is a cheap pen that I take to work every day. Again, it's a solid metal pen. Even if you have a plastic pen, it doesn't matter. They're great for writing. Secondary use, great as an impact tool. A belt. This is the belt that I wear to work every day. I like this one because it has a metal buckle, and using it as an impact tool should you need to. Also, it's great for, first aid device should you need to stop bleeding, should you need to use it as an improvised tourniquet. You can also use it to for broken limbs, things of that nature. Highly useful. Let's see here, scarves or bandanas. There's a million different uses for scarves and bandanas. They're great as for their primary uses, but also great for first aid. This and some duct tape will make a bandage. You can make a sling out of it. Also, you can make improvised weapons. Biker gangs will take these and take a padlock and put the padlock around here and put that padlock in their back pocket, and that gives them an improvised weapon in which they can use to what biker gangs do. Also, if you're outside, you put a rock in your pocket, you can take that rock, put it inside, and now you've basically made a small sap. Water bottles. Metal water bottles are preferred. Full water bottles are preferred. Ask any lady walking from the gym at night, clasping her water bottle. This one you could use as a small baton. I like the ones that have the handles on top that you can swing. You know, great secondary use as a defensive tool. Whistles or personal alarms. I carry a small titanium whistle that's about that big on my keychain. You know, drawing attention to yourself, putting a spotlight on somebody that is attacking you. Putting a may even stop the harassment or whatever's going on in the first place, but it's letting the other people around you know that something is going on, and those eyes paying attention will may alter their behavior. Also in natural disaster scenarios, you can scream and yell, but eventually for help, but eventually your voice will give out. Blowing a whistle, the whistle's not going to fail you. Um, Both very important for calling for help. Air tags and Life 360. I was against Life 360 at first, but we all carry our cell phones with us. Any GPS or organization is monitoring us already. It knows where our phones are, so we might as well let our loved ones know where we are, and that helps to keep us safe. You know, we use Life 360 in our house, and it does a lot of good. It helps as a father and a husband. It helps me to feel safe, and also, you know, I know that if I know somebody will come for me too if I need help. Emergency contacts. We keep our contacts in our phone, but you know, phones die. Phones run out of you know, aren't always in signal. Phones get broken. So if you write down a few emergency contacts that somebody that you can call if you need to, that could save your life. Cash not in the wallet. I pay for a card with pretty much everything. But if I get mugged, if I leave my wallet at home, um, you know, I keep cash on me that's not in my wallet. So, you know, this is my phone. This is my phone case. You know, in the back here, I keep about $50. You know, that's enough to give me a bus ticket, you know, pay somebody to give me a ride, which is probably unsafe, but you know, $50 can handle a lot of problems, and that's what it's in there for. It's to handle it's to problem solve. Just letting somebody know where you're going and what time you're going to be back. It's really simple, but you know, when I leave the house, I let my partner know where I'm going, and if I'm not back around the time, then I have somebody looking for me. Pepper spray. Um, Pepper spray is a very useful tool. It's not something that all of these things are something that you can take into a courthouse, onto an airplane, anywhere. They're not restricted except for obviously pepper spray. I like pepper spray. It disables the person, not through pain, but it disables their physiology and gives you a chance to get away. Yes, you do run a risk of not being able to see yourself. So training with it and knowing its capabilities, I feel, is important, but it is a good tool. And last, shoes with laces. Your footwear is important. If you need to get away and you're wearing, you know, slides or Crocs or, you know, some, you know, not great footwear, that can hinder you. So wearing shoes with laces, especially if you are going into, you know, unknown areas or places that you're not familiar with. So, and these are things that you can carry on you every single day. So things you can, so thinking about those secondary uses of all those things, there are things in your environment every day that you can use as improvised weapons should you need to. Now, why would you want to use an improvised weapon um, in instead of your fists? Um, you know, a broken hand, a hurt hand, is not going to help you in staying safe, in getting away, in avoiding situations. It's going to hinder you and become um, a liability at that point. Um, you know, if you have had training and have had practice in how to properly throw a punch, um, you know, balling your fist very tight, not practicing not flexing your wrist when you make impact, and you choose to use your fists, and then by all means go ahead. But for our purposes, I would say that only as a last resort should you use your fists. And if you do, and you haven't had that training, then using a hammer fist, um, so you don't cause more injury to yourself, would be advised. But grabbing a improvised weapon is a force multiplier and betters your odds at uh, uh, causing enough trauma to escape. One of my favorites that you can find about everywhere is a fire extinguisher. These are super handy for putting out fires, but also they are fantastic impact weapons, and they are great distraction devices should you uh, you pull the trigger, and may buy you that precious time you need to escape without having to do um, but without having to engage with an assailant. Um, somewhere where you're the most vulnerable is in the bathroom, in a public bathroom. Um, and most public bathrooms will have a toilet tank with a lid on the back. Not all of them, but most of them. You grab that piece of ceramic, that big ceramic lid on the back, and you can use that as a bludgeoning tool and also as something to put between you and somebody who wants to hurt you or um, and defend yourself. Rocks and bricks are on the ground, you know, better than your fist. I'm not advocating that you necessarily throw them, but use them as a bludgeoning tool. In any kitchen, you can find a pot or pan. Um, again, we're going for bludgeoning tools. Um, and you can find chairs everywhere, and it's something to put between you and an assailant, and also use as a um, you can keep it between them. You're not necessarily going to WWE style bash them in the head, but you can use it to thrust and push and create space, um, and get away, and that is the goal. So what makes a good weapon? Um, so pain compliance can be effective. But adrenaline allows you to ignore pain, or may allow the assailant to ignore pain. People's pain tolerances are different. Um, I'm a bigger guy. I've got some belly fat. You punch me in the stomach, you're not gonna, you're probably not gonna do a whole lot. You know, uh, pain compliance is not optimal. Disability compliance is affecting a person's physiology to where they cannot ignore it. Hitting, if somebody gets hit in the head and they are concussed, or are knocked out, those things are more sure for you to be able to make an escape. So I wanted you guys to know the difference between pain and disability. Uh, Police officers have a baton, striking, that's not a great example, a taser, when it impacts, sends an electrical shock between those two electrodes and causes all the muscles in between the electrodes to tighten and uncontrollably to the assailant. So that is what we're trying to go for. I have mass times speed equals force. So when you're picking a weapon, you want something, the heaviest thing that you can move the fastest, and you'll get the most force out of that. Another strike against untrained fist. This is heavier, and I can generate more force with it than I can my fist. So with knowledge and preparedness comes confidence. The best way to not get into a situation is to avoid it, is to be a hard target, to make good decisions. Hey, I can stay on this nicely lit street, or I can veer off into this dark alley. That's probably not a great decision. It may go well, but why take the chance? So being a hard target is your first line of defense. And so, keeping your head up and paying attention to your surroundings instead of your hand in your phone, or your head in your phone, when you're walking down the street. When I walk down the street, if I see somebody, I look at them, instead of, and that lets that other person know that, hey, I see you. And when, just like blowing a whistle, if you're in trouble, that when other people's eyes are on the situation or potential situation, people will act differently. So just even letting somebody else, total stranger, know that you see them can have a big impact. Stand up straight and use good posture. That's important. If you're on your phone, you're slumped over, you're making yourself small, your body language is telling that other person that you're not confident. You're probably not going to say no to them, that they might be able to have their way with you. But if we stand up straight, and we use good posture that says, hey, I'm here, I'm engaged in the world, I'm not going to make this easy on you. Make eye contact. Now, I'm aware that eye contact is it can be a cultural issue. Eye contact in some cultures means different things in other cultures. But one thing that is universal with eye contact is it lets the other person know that you see them. Again, earlier with the example with the flashlight, using the flashlight, if somebody's following you and you turn around and you shine that flashlight on them and you let them know that you see them, or you don't have to have a flashlight necessarily, just making eye contact with somebody says, hey, I'm letting you know that I see you. And that, again, that makes you a harder target. Be present. If you're distracted, again, I go back to the phone, and I'm guilty of it too. But you're standing in line, waiting to order food or whatever, just looking around and observing just, hey, this person is paying attention to what's going on around them. I probably shouldn't try to mug them. And then lastly, what if scenarios. Now there's a caveat to that. So if going through what if scenarios in your head gives you anxiety, if it makes you paranoid, if it is something that is counterproductive, then don't do it. But what I mean by what if scenarios, back to I'm in the store, or I'm waiting in line to get food. And I think to myself, okay, well, if I need to, can I get from where I am at to the door? Where is the door? How can I get to the door? If I can't get to the door, where can I get? Oh, there's a bathroom behind me. Okay. Well, I know if I need to get a weapon, I know that there's probably a lid on the back of that toilet tank. So if I need to grab a weapon real quick, there we go. Or there's a chair beside me. If somebody's angry with me or whatever, I have options. I'm going through these scenarios in my head that makes me feel more safe, which I project that confidence, which makes me an even more of a hard target. Plus, if something does happen, then I at least have primed myself with what to do. And that's a big thing, the reason in the military, when you are training to go on a mission to do something, you practice that scenario over and over and over and over again until it becomes second nature. And the reason for that is because once that stress has affected you of being in the moment, you need to train your body to react in the way that it needs to do the things to accomplish your mission. Going through things in your head is a small version of that. You're basically training yourself. If something happens, this is what I'm going to do. So, there's a saying, everybody knows what they're going to do until they get hit in the face. Well, if you thought about it enough and you get hit in the face, you probably have a pretty good idea of what you're going to do, and you're just going to react, and that's the point. So, all right, moving on. But violence is the last resort. And if we find ourselves in a confrontation, we want to be able to, use our words to get out of that situation. And this also is part of being a hard target. So we want to respond. We don't want to react. Hey, I understand that there's something going on here, and I want to go ahead and talk about that with you. That lets them know that, they're not getting to me. Stay calm and appear calm. If we stay calm, that other person may begin to mirror us and calm themselves too. We always want to treat people with respect and dignity, regardless. First of all, I feel like that is a moral imperative, but also for a tactical point of view is, when we disrespect somebody, or we embarrass them, or we do something to make them look small, they may be looking for a reason to use violence against us, and by doing that, we may have just given them, in their mind, with their perception, a reason to use violence against us. So it's moral, in my opinion, it is morally what we should do, and also a good tactical practice. When we de-escalate, we need to use our empathy. We need to really think, well, try to put ourselves in that person's shoes, or how would I feel if things were reversed. Again, I feel that that's a morally correct thing to do, but there is a tactical purpose for that. And that purpose is that, we uh, we are body language experts. We can predict human behavior with some success. So if you're not genuine, people will sense that. These tactics work best when it's coming from a genuine place. And our verbal seer. And then we also want to try to redirect their energy. As an example, I work at a place where I deal with the public, and somebody was not having a great day up at our counter, and talking to one of the ladies, and they were starting to get loud. So I walked up and I was like, "Hey, that is a great shirt. Where did you get that?" And it totally caught them off guard. And all of a sudden they're like, oh, I ordered this off of Amazon. Oh yeah? Yeah. So I took that angry energy, I disrupted it, and I redirected it to, now let's talk about your awesome shirt. Did I really care about his shirt? No, but you get the point. So when de-escalating, well, we'll start with escalating phases or phrases. So, can I swear here? I'm going to swear. So you want to piss somebody off and make them even more angry? Tell them to calm down. Anybody who has a significant other and you tell them to calm down, how did that go for you? Don't do that. And, universally, nobody wants to be told to calm down. You tell somebody that's not true. You're challenging them. You are drawing a line in the sand. You're being ridiculous. You're belittling them. You are, affecting their dignity. You are being disrespectful, especially with "I don't care what you think." That is antithetical to empathy. So these are things that you should not say. Not to a stranger, not to somebody that you care about, not to your children. This will just serve to piss them off, and they will not like you in that moment. Don't do it. So some de-escalating phrases, using those tips that I gave you in the last slide. Let's take a moment to cool down. I hear what you're saying. We both want the same outcome. In the escalating phrases, we're using you. We are pointing that finger, not physically, but we were pointing a finger saying, you did this, you're being ridiculous, you calm down. When we are de-escalating, we are using we. We're in this together. We need to figure this out. Let's find a solution together. And that takes the focus off of them, puts it on you both, because you're both in the situation, and helps to calm things down a little bit more. Oh, in the last slide, use your customer service voice. I mean, I hope I don't have to. If I need to explain that later on, let me know. But I feel as though we've all either used our customer service voice or have had people use their customer service voice with us. So redirecting phrases. Again, we are here with the us, with the we're in this together attitude. You know, this is not about blaming anyone. Let's talk about what we can do moving forward. Let's resolve this and talk about how we can resolve this. Now, very importantly, on the inside, you may not want to, you may feel very differently, but you cannot let your face betray you. Your body language, we communicate more with our body language than we do with our words. So you kind of have to, you need to find a way to be in control of yourself and do the best you can to have your emotions match what is coming out of your mouth. Otherwise, your face will betray you, and these things may not be as effective as you would want them to be. In calming phases, you know, we've gotten to the point where, like, okay, we're not yelling anymore. You know, things, but there's still confrontation. To get out, you know, hey, I need to think. I I heard what you said, but I need to think for a moment, and this will allow us to disengage. Let's both take a breath. I'm not trying to fight. That last one uh, could be volatile, uh, but in other scenarios could be very calming. And these are the things that are going to allow us to disengage from the situation. And come back and resolve it later, or actually have meaningful conversation to resolve these things. All right, moving on. Nonverbal communication. I'm going to play a video for you.
So you could say if the guy's postured up, he's standing forward, he's got legs forward and he's falling off his fist. That's a pre-attack indicator. So he's got his fist balled up, he's ready to go. You know, he's steaming. I think that's not a bad one. What's a better indicator of whether the guy wants to attack you is if you're getting ready, what's he doing with his hands? So, let's go his mobile phone. Is he putting his phone away? You know, that's a good subtle indicator that the guy's getting ready for action. Is he putting it away?
Hey, Eric, can you turn the volume up?
You'll see that a lot
Sure.
of people take their clothes, you know, they'll rip their shirts off and they'll get in your face. You know, they'll do this, like, pull it off, get in their face and start having a go. Now, here's the
Is that
thing.
better?
Is that a bluff? Is that a bluff? Is that real? It can be. Yeah, this is why it's difficult to read. So when you're looking at pre-attack indicators, you're looking at a series of a cluster of behavior. It's not just one factor. Someone could take their t-shirt off and you would think, yeah, the guy wants to have a fight and he's therefore an attack is pretty imminent. The guy's going to go at me now. But the reality is sometimes people are bluffing. What they're doing is pulling it off. It's an ego thing that makes you puff your chest out. But then sometimes a guy will pull his t-shirt off and really go for you, start swinging punches and swinging to the hip. So this is the reason why when you're looking at pre-attack indicators, we have to look at a cluster of them and a grouping of them. You can't take one. So if the guy's blading off to the side and he's got a dominant spin, okay, that's fine.
All right, I've been informed that the sound's not being shared, so we can share the link later for you guys. Can you hear me? All right, we can share the link later for you guys, so you can watch the video later. But basically what this is showing is some pre-indicators when in a confrontation, when anger goes to rage, and there is the possibility, or you can see them getting ready to use violence. You know, some of the things like, you know, putting their phone away or taking off their shirt or, you know, anyways, watch the video. It's a great video. That,
Yeah, I grabbed the link and put it in the chat so everyone has it.
all right. I'm going to figure out how to get out of this and then we'll move on. Sorry about that, guys. Uh, Here we go. All right. Okay. So this a couple things about body language. Um, when you do watch that video, clusters of behavior indicators in context is the key. If you have experience working with animals, uh, which we are animals, but you know, if you have experience working with dogs, cats, birds, something like that, then you already have an advantage. You already have a head start with body language. You know when birds, the dog, you know, what they're communicating, and it's the same principle with human beings. You know, when we get angry and we want to make you scared, we make ourselves big. Uh, so, um, a good book. Uh, this is a good book in learning body language. All right. So moving on. I've noticed in some of the work that I've done is that people are really horrible at realizing when they're in an emergency and acting accordingly. Um, when there is a threat of life, limb, or liberty, you must acknowledge the danger that you're in and inform yourself and say to yourself, I'm in an emergency, and others also, so that you act accordingly and you adopt an emergency mindset. Um, so what is an emergency mindset? We're going to stay calm. You know, uh, that's part of being a hard target. That's part of, you know, using our prefrontal cortex, which tells us, anyways, using our consciousness, um, and keeps us in control of our bodies. Then we're going to triage the situation. What is most important in front of me, uh, and what is the order of importance? We're going to use our resources wisely. This goes back to, you know, do I need my belt to hold up my pants, or do I need to take off my belt to, you know, use it for first aid? Trust your instincts. Your mind is always your instincts are always working in the background, uh, for your benefit. And most importantly, take action. You have to take action. The worst thing that you can do is nothing. Um, and even doing nothing is still an action. So take action. None of the other things matter if you don't do something. And stay focused on the present. What is in front of you, the task that is in front of you, the situation that is in front of you. It doesn't matter what happened before. It doesn't matter what might happen. You have to get through right now. That is your priority. So that is an emergency mindset. So if we are in an emergency and We went over we tried to, we talked about ways to be prepared, improvised weapons, de-escalating the situation. If these things didn't work, then we need to get away from the threat, whatever that is, whoever that is. So for this scenario, we're going to say that it is another human. You want to keep talking. The reason you want to keep talking is because if they keep talking with you, you can try those de-escalation techniques. And if they're talking, they're not being violent at that moment. You want to create distance between you and them. The further away you can get, the closer to an exit, the closer you can get to putting something else between you and them, the safer that you're going to be. You don't want to turn your back on them. You want to keep that eye contact, not intimidating eye contact, but I know you're there. I'm letting you know that I know you're there. You want to, this goes back to, you want to plot your route. This goes back to, running the what if scenarios. Or things happen fast. Like, okay, I know that there's a door right there. I don't know what's on the other side of the door, but I'm going to figure out the best way to get through that door and figure out the rest later. However, you got to do it. Plot a route, because if you just start going and you don't know where you're going, you may have blown the one chance that you have. You want to draw attention from other people. Other people may help you. That's a good thing. This goes back to, weapon or personal alarm. And if you have to, you want to ready your weapon. So I always cringe when, you're watching a horror movie and, the guy runs into the kitchen, and he grabs the knife and he holds it in front of him and he says, if you come any closer, we don't want to do that. That they're obviously not afraid of you, and you holding a knife makes you look weak and timid, and they know that they can overpower you. When you ready your weapon, you want to do it in secret. You don't even want them to know that you have a weapon if that's at all possible, but you want to be ready to strike because you may only get one shot. So our last resort is using violence to escape. You want to channel your inner primal being. It's in there. It will come out when you need it. Trust yourself. You want to use, if you have a weapon, you want to use the element of surprise. You don't want them to know that you have a weapon. You don't want to telegraph that you have a weapon, where you're going to strike or what you're going to do. You don't want to threaten. You don't say, if you come any closer, I'm going to do. Nope. All of that has passed. Threatening is not such a great idea. If you're going to do something, you need to do it. I lost my place. Sorry. You want to use the element of surprise to your advantage. You want every advantage that you can get. You want to aim for the face and the neck if you can. If we go back to picking the types of weapons, the pain compliance versus the disability compliance. Everything in the face, most things in the face and neck that you affect will affect their physiology to where they don't have a choice to back off. If you break a person's nose, their eyes start to water, their face swells up. If you hit them in the side of the neck, it temporarily blocks off blood to the brain. I'm not going to get into all of that, but you know, if you hit somebody in the head and they're concussed and they're dazed, they have no control over whether or not they're dazed. Again, so aim for the face. You stab somebody in the eye with a pen, it's going to hurt, and now they can't see out of their eye. They're more concerned, hopefully, with that than they are with you. Also, why we need to channel our inner primal being. You want to strike fast. You want to strike repeatedly and brutally. This is life or death, life, limb, or liberty. And when I say liberty, I don't mean the political science liberty. I mean the, being kidnapped, being, sexually assaulted, being taken against your will. Speed is more effective than strength. So move quickly, strike fast, repeatedly, and brutally, and don't give up. Don't give in, and you will survive and get away. That being said, it is uncertain times, and I was asked to talk a little bit about bug out bags. Bug out bags, get home bags, go bags, evacuation bags, 72-hour bags. The purpose is to carry items full of your basic needs for the next 3 days or more. Why would you need one of these? Well, uh, climate change, has made our weather patterns even more unpredictable. Hurricanes, blizzards, mudslides, they're all getting more erratic and more deadly. So, hurricane evacuation, wildfires, floods or storm surges, power outages, in Texas, they had that huge power outage that also cut off people's heat. House fires, if your house catches on fire, you get yourself and your loved ones and your pets out as fast as you can. But if you have a go bag and you can grab that, well, you're going to do yourself a favor. Civil unrest, if the people in Gaza, the people in the West Bank, people in Ukraine, people in Sudan, all over the world. We see it on the news, but I assure you, it can happen here. If just an emergency or a sudden trip that you need to leave quickly. I have a friend that's needed to fly out to see their father before he passed away. So, having a go bag was helpful in that situation. All right. So, what you got in that bag? So the bag, you want it to be about 30 to 50 liters. That's a 30-liter bag is about the size of a large school backpack. You want it to be comfortable to carry for long distances, and you want to stay away from tactical or designer bags, because that's just a giant red flag saying, hey, you should steal my stuff. So what should you put in that bag? Well, there are so many lists out there that I wasn't going to give you another one. Ready.gov has a great list. They have how to build a kit, how to make a plan in case of an emergency, which I think is important. It's a great place to start for an all-around kit. And then the American Red Cross, again, they've got a good list for a kit, how to make a plan, and also offer first aid training. So every tool that you can every bit of knowledge, every tool you can put in your toolbox is going to be an asset. So I hope this presentation I've been able to show you that with knowledge and training comes being prepared, and there is no longer a reason to be scared. Are there any questions?
So far, we haven't had any questions in the chat, but there's been a lot of good discussion and people sharing some tips and tricks that they do themselves, which has been great.
Good. All right. Well, again, we appreciate everybody coming to our free we enjoy putting on free Empower Hours. If you would like to donate to Democrats Empower Medina and you found any of this useful, please, you can Venmo us at Democrats Empower Medina. All right. Leah, is there?
That's good. Thank you so much, everyone, for coming. We really appreciate it.
Yes. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Have a good night.